So you can't see it, but the first clue here from the crime chart, who can find her? And we already know the answer. It's really important that we look at charts after the fact, after we get some clues. Sometimes we have the tendency to just look at crime charts and we want to know something that is a complete mystery, but it's important to study what we know. So we know who found Kiely yesterday, and divers found Kiely. And of course, this is the mystery of Kiely Rodni. They're not sure exactly what happened yet. We have a lot of people with common sense that come on this channel, and I don't know, I'd be interested to hear your thoughts. What do you think? I think that we've all had events that we've gone to, driven on roads that we're familiar with. Maybe we've had something to drink, maybe we're smoking weed, whatever. But I've lived a long, good life, and I'll tell you, I've never driven off the road. So it happens. It absolutely happens. I don't think I've driven off a road either when the sky was so angry and just it's bad. And Grace, you can attest, Uranus at 18 degrees. It's not a good energy to be enjoying yourself right now. Some people, they're doing just fine. The other day, J-Lo and Ben, 2 ambulances came to the property. So things unexpectedly can come up under the sky. So yes, Grace, you can attest. We're Pisces, okay? We like our wine, but not to make light of it. It's a terrible tragedy. And what I have up here on the screen is the crime chart. And Grace and I were looking at another crime chart that was very similar to this one, which I will get to, but that one also had Saturn at the top, if y'all can remember that one. All right, so we were looking at who can find Kiely and who can't find Kiely. You can also, when you see a crime chart, you can see who's going to be successful when you're investigating. You can see if an astrologer can be successful by looking at Uranus. Doesn't look so great here, but I would say that a lot of astrologers that I talked to said that she could be found in a body of water. So I'd say there's some, I don't know, good energy somewhat towards Uranus. Neptune would represent divers. Moon would represent psychics. Mars represents the police. Okay, now, how strange is it? Well, let me back up here. Let's go to the next one. I'm gonna wait on that thought because it's a strange coincidence. But Grace, you will appreciate this. Venus is at 23 degrees. Now, Venus represents, okay, so what we do is we go to the ascendant, which happens to be on Algol, one of the worst points in the zodiac. And Kylie's in her car. She's in the 3rd house. She's not alone there. And what we do is we look at that house really well because that's where she is. She is in Cancer, and Black Moon Lilith is right near her. But anyway, what we can do is we can see Mars isn't so great here. Mars is in the 12th house. It's in the dark. Mars represents the police, also represents the perpetrator too. But we'll look at the police right now. The police, they are using sonar equipment. They're using ROVs. They're using divers. They're doing whatever they can, but they're not getting, or they weren't getting, any results. So the divers did, though. And what the divers are part of this big grand trine here. They became famous. The public loves them right now. Moon, trine, Neptune. All right. And they can find her. Look at how Neptune trines Venus. So they were able to get to her. So, you can be critical of the police, but sometimes they don't have the power at this time. So you just got to move on and focus on what we do know and who can help. All right, and let's see. If you want more information on degrees, you can go to my website, and that's at the bottom there. So we take a good look at the third house, like I said, and we try to get as many details. And we'll look at the victim first. Now, Venus, Kiely, and she's a beautiful girl. So Venus makes sense. She is in the third house. She's in her car. But let's take a look at the fixed star, 23 Cancer. And she's right on Pollux. And you can read the definition here. It doesn't look good, or it didn't look good at first when we were first looking at this chart, because she's right. So we're going to look at the third and fourth clues. Who is nearby? All right. I'm fixated on this third house and the aspects to it, because we look at angles first. As forensic astrologers, we look at who's the strongest here, okay? But look at the third house. You also look cusp. The cusp of any house is the strongest part, and Black Moon Lilith is right there at 12 degrees. So this could be a person, guys. 12 degrees, that's a Pisces degree. Somebody drunk. Black Moon Lilith is also of a Pluto nature. So someone who, I don't know, maybe sexually interested, let's just say that. And it squares Jupiter in the 11th. So when I see the 11th house, yeah, we see, the divers and their YouTubers. So that would be 11th house. But the 11th house is also friends. And so that's why I am wondering if this person knew Kiely. Now, the ascendant is key in determining names. And this is where the odd part comes in, the really odd part. I'll look at the 12th and I'll look at the 1st. Close to the, you can get a name out of it. And the planets help too. So what is Mars and Uranus? Mars is a rod. It's a metal rod, okay? Uranus could be like a lightning rod, but it's a rod. Kiely's last name, Rodni, okay? So you're getting her last name there, right? But it can also indicate other people's names too. Possibly a perpetrator, if there was a perpetrator, all right? And we have Mars, and Mars is close to that ascendant. So the way that I approach it, and this is something that I found in my own research, and if you've seen differently, you let me know. I just consider myself a researcher. But when things touch around this ascendant, you're getting a name. You're not just getting the name of a victim, you're getting the name of a bunch of people. And wouldn't you know it, the sheriff, who's Mars, look at how that opposes Moon. Can you believe that the sheriff's name is Sheriff Moon? Like, you can't make this stuff up. So, then you also have Neptune here sextiling this area of, Mars and the 12th house, or the ascendant, which is really what I'm thinking. Okay, the ascendant is the name, and you've got Neptune. Okay, so what is the diver's name? The diver's his last name is Bishop. Okay, and Pisces is Catholic. That's the Catholic religion. So you're looking at some kind of a religious type of name there. So, and at 25 degrees, might be a business owner, because that's the Mars degree. So you're looking at, and somebody who might be, a little bit, possibly have, I don't know, he might smoke, we're talking Mars, good old boy energy type of stuff. Okay. So we've got Sheriff Moon, we've got Bishop, we've got Kiely Rodni. So why can't we find out if there was a crime? Why can't we find out the perpetrator's name? So your thoughts, eager to hear. Would it be a Rodney? Now, I was talking to Grace the other day. Scorpio Soul just contributed, said Ronnie, possibly, maybe. I think, I was looking at my notes. I was talking to Grace the other day. She said near Jupiter, we have Rick, Michael, Jim, John, and Eric asteroids. So sorry, guys, if that's one of your names and you were at the party, but that's what we're getting around here. And 8 degrees can be the killer degree. 8 is Scorpio. So what I've said on my Instagram, I've already done a little of an analysis. And the co-rulers, the co-ruler is the sun. Okay, you have the sun, and then you have Mars. So I'm looking at sun and Mars for the perpetrator. So the sun can really give you a great description, though. And that being in Leo, that could mean someone very strong, someone who plays sports, because especially not just Leo, but also because of that trine there with Jupiter in Aries, which is sports. So that's something that could also play into the description a little bit, I think. Now, let's see here. We already talked about Black Moon Lilith, and we've got this square here. Black Moon Lilith. Square Jupiter. Grace, this is, yeah, it's around the time the phone was turned off. It was actually 12:33. But we've got Black Moon Lilith square Jupiter, okay? That is a whole hell of a energy towards a sinister point, Black Moon Lilith. That is a curtain. You can't see anything. Could mean that it was just an extremely dark night and she couldn't see anything. But one thing that we did hear in the report, the latest report, was that glass was broken on, I believe it was the driver's side door, and there was a body in the back seat. Now, could be another Chappaquiddick where the victim is trying to climb and get some air. But we've got broken glass. And so what would that be? That would be Neptune and Uranus. That's broken glass, okay? Because Neptune is glass and Uranus is to break. So we've got that as part of the equation. Do I think that the perpetrator did it? Of course, because Mars is right next to Uranus. If there was a perpetrator, could it be an accident? What do you guys think? I say there's a whole hell of a lot of bad degrees here. So it would take me a lot of convincing to say that this just happened randomly. Yep, Mercury on the 5th cusp. Yes, so that is, Mercury is a witness, okay? And but the witnesses are not strong here. And this is also, oh God, that looks like it could be 2 people. I don't know. It's a group of partiers. We know that. And you say you think it could be an accident, but there was more that was going on that led to it. Okay, so DNA, Scorpio Soul, it's going to be Uranus. I think it doesn't look good. It doesn't look good for Uranus, for DNA here. But Aquarius could also be DNA too. I'm not sure. I'm not real excited about the DNA right now. Grace, you say maybe she was roofied. I was thinking that too, because you have Neptune, you have this grand trine here. And, it was given to her easily. Somebody put it in her cup, maybe. I don't know. All right. So now we're going to get to location. And let's see here. Take a look at this. This is where she was. This is the moon, okay? And Mars ends up southwest, right in Donner Lake is where she was, okay? Now there's a lot of different ways that you can map. And no mapping technique. AMAPS is pretty good. I think they've got the best reputation for being pretty good at determining where someone is. But one thing that I do that has worked for me is I will go to AstroSeek and I'll just bring up no houses and I'll look at where the moon is. I always look at the moon first, which would be the missing person, okay? And it doesn't necessarily mean, okay, she's northeast, but it gives you an axis here. And what happened? She drove southwest, and maybe she had an accident. I would rather see this without Mars, okay? Because Mars is a man. You only need Uranus for an accident. You don't need a stellium there, which is huge. And with North Node next to Uranus, like right there, both at 18 degrees, that is a huge force of something. And then the T-square there with Saturn at 22 degrees. So, I don't know. There you go. Yeah, it's hard to believe it was an accident if anyone has taken a look at the terrain there. It seems like you've got to drive quite a bit, and her car was flipped over. So I don't know. The only thing that in my mind could have happened was she was knocked out, but why would her window be shattered, I guess? So I'm not sure exactly what happened there. It's funny because what was I looking at? It was Scorpio. And I saw how Moon was sextiling Pluto there, and that usually means really, really famous people. And then here it would be like famous people by a lake. And it's just giving that personality of this crime chart, because what was it near? It's near Calneva, which is where all the famous stars would congregate right on Lake Tahoe, which is not that far. It's just a little ways south from here. So when I saw Scorpio, I thought of mafia, and so that was a favorite mafia hangout. And they had a lot of money. So you can see different themes in these things. Okay. So let's see what else. Oh, and this is a chart that Grace and I did the other day. Has the same kind of, or I can compare it only in the sense that you've got Saturn at the top with part of fortune, okay? And the night of this crime, it was cold. Now, I don't know if it was cold in Kiely's case. I know she had a hoodie on, but it was like people were under this influence of death, okay? Because Saturn means death. In this case, the victims were on a campus, which is Leo, okay? So at 29 degrees, it was the Regulus degree. So, it was just this death pattern. And what would happen from days after, for the next month, 6 weeks, people would be in constant fear. MC is the public. So now you look at this, and this was the Chi Omega murders that we were talking about the other night. Okay. It's different because we've got an ascendant in Scorpio. It's flipped. In this case, I think both of the victims were raped. So that would be a Scorpio thing. And he was cannibalistic. That would be the second house there, which we were talking about. Mars, the victim, they were college students, the ninth house. They were on campus, campus girls. It was retrograde. They were weak. They were sleeping, and it was a holiday weekend. So the fifth house here that's why you have probably have a lot of planets there, because it was Super Bowl weekend. Everybody was excited. People were partying. It was Saturday night and that kind of thing. Other thing that was really interesting in this chart was Mercury means two, okay? 2 deaths that night. 2 were killed. 2 were beaten up. So, okay, Scorpio soul, you say, she tried to get a ride home, went to her car to sleep it off, and then something bad happens after that. I can't help that in my mind, somebody had a crowbar and just like, as she was driving by, just hit the car and just somehow took command of the car. Maybe they struggled or whatever. I think everybody is thinking that. But it's because of this right here. This is like just extreme energy here, and right on Algol. It would not surprise me if something happened to her throat because of that. And we see that 99% of the time when there's alcohol. But what is alcohol, though? It's alcohol, too. So there's just a lot of drinking. And it would not surprise me, though, if there was someone involved who was also drinking that's going to be, they're going to be part of this, okay? Now, the other thing is you can see that this person, if it is a person we're looking at, we'll call him Rodney. Well, I guess we shouldn't because that's her last name, but it's some Mars Uranus type of name. You know what? There was Savannah, the one that disappeared, and her perpetrator was Sparks. And there was a very prominent Uranus there that was aspecting ascendant. So that would be an example. So we've got Neptune, which is really like one of the elevated planets here, and that's going to give the most influence. Now, we'll be able to tell what's going to happen next, I think. Could she have hit her head? I don't think that she can hit her head and also break the windshield, unless her head broke the windshield. But I don't know. I say this stellium here is key. You've got 18, you've got 26, you've got 22, the killer to be killed degree. You've got 8 degrees, which is a killer degree. Here's the thing with Jupiter, and remember how I was showing you just a second ago Ted Bundy's chart for the Chi Omega murders? You had Mars retrograde for the victims, okay? Here we have Mars, but it's in the 12th, so it's kind of like the same thing. It looks like if this is a person and this is a crime chart, if the perpetrator is in the 12th, they usually go to jail because 12th is the house of solitary confinement. They usually are captured. So, and then look at also the square. Uranus squares Saturn. So he is if it's a he, if it's a perpetrator, not successful. Tried to do something, couldn't do it. Now, Grace, take a look, since you're on here, look at Pluto there in the 9th house. How many times have we seen when there's a victim and there's an opposition from, in this case, Venus to Pluto? And it's like, it's not a good one. A chart is the Leon sisters. If you them up, that was one of the worst cases I've ever seen. But there was a similar one where someone took them. I don't think she was taken. I don't think Kiely was taken, but there may have been some kind of Pluto, sexual type of attraction that she was pushing back against. I wish you could see my cursor. I don't think you can see it with StreamYard. So I'm trying to point out these things, but I can't. I don't think you're seeing them. So let's see. Who is Sammy? Did I say Sammy? Oh, Scorpio Soul said Sammy. The 12th house of hidden secrets bugs you. Yeah. Well, we see it all the time when somebody it was a few months ago, I think, wasn't it this year, that one perpetrator just in that girl's car. She was just going to work at like 5 in the morning and then kidnaps her. And the 12th house for her looked very similar. So, well, I don't want to belabor the points, but it looks to me like it's foul play. It looks like the person, if there was someone that caused this, they will go to jail. I hope that the police have some kind of help. It looks like they do. Look at how they have that sextile, Mars sextiling Neptune there. They've got the divers on their side, at least. They're helping. But it looks like with a 9th house. Look how that Pluto there in the 9th house. That could be the courts, okay? And they might be able to bring someone to justice if there was a crime. So I guess we're probably going to be hearing about this within the next 2 weeks, and I'm going to come on again and we're going to see how it plays out. So Grace, you say you think they have a suspect? I hope so. And it'll be really interesting to see what his name is. And then what we'll do is we'll run, Grace, if you want to come on, you can run the personal name asteroid and show us how you do that. So, all right. Well, it's a very tragic situation. One thing that I do when I'm looking at these charts is I try to look at I have a little Excel spreadsheet. It's not so little anymore. And I just try to compare other cases. And once you do this for a long time, you start to get an idea of, what might have happened. And I don't know about you guys, but when you've got a stellium in the 12th, it's not really a good thing. So, oh, and one other thing, Kiely, this comes up over and over. I know it sounds crazy, but when you have a planet in Cancer, okay, Cancer usually means someone famous, okay? And so you're like, the victim here, she's represented by Venus. She's in Cancer. What's that mean? She's not famous. Well, her name is famous, okay? And she's aspecting that ascendant, which is name. So she has the name of a famous girl. So I think that would also play out here. But Grace, I think you're right about Mercury. There's something intriguing about that. Mercury is good because it represents, witnesses, which don't seem too strong, but there is an aspect to Moon, which is good. A benefic is always good. It means that they're trying to help. They're really trying to help. The 5th house can be like partiers. So some may want to help, some may not want to help. But it means 2 of something. And I think I mentioned that earlier. So it's very possible that Jupiter retrograde. And why am I looking at Jupiter retrograde? Why am I not looking at just Mars and Sun, which is what we should be looking at if we're looking at a perpetrator? Well, because Venus, what is Venus doing? Venus is trining the 11th house. So we have to look at the whole 11th house, okay? Neptune is drinking and drugs, sextile Pluto. That's lots and lots and lots of drugs. What's Taurus? That's weed, okay? So this is a big drug chart, all right? And you've got, then on top of it, you have Jupiter there, but it just seems like with that aspect to Mars and Jupiter, that's going to give some kind of description, I think. And that might be like, you know, Aries could be redneck, could be businessman, could be, you know, somebody who's a volunteer cop. But I think it's probably somebody who might be athletic. But it's just, you know, me guessing. So, yeah, a lot of people are probably scared to come forward. But I think ultimately this case will be solved. The police are not strong here, but there's that grand trine, and I think the public is really going to help. So, well, anyway, thank you all for joining me tonight. Sorry about the technical difficulties, but I am going to iron them out for the next time. And we will see you next time. Next time, I hope I get Grace on here, and we'll talk about another chart. So thanks again. See you soon.